Well, we had our assessment for Oakley today. It was the BOSA assessment for his autism, and it wasn't quite what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, to be fair. There's very mixed reviews online, so I'm hoping this will shed some light for some people. So we had our assessment as of June 2021. And they replaced the original assessment with this new BOSA assessment, basically because of COVID measures and stuff. I'm not entirely sure on the details. And basically, we turned up. Only one parent was allowed in, which was myself. We arrived. There was 5 sections to the whole assessment, and each section was basically playing with different sets of toys. The lady that met us and took us into the room, she was very nice, and she basically explained a little bit about what was going on. It was really quite daunting, because you're going into a place which you know you're going to be watched and recorded, and you kind of have that apprehension there because it's not natural to be in that situation. And I hope they understand that, because obviously it's not every day that you just sit in a room by yourself and you're recorded. But basically, she explained what was going on, and she said that we'll be playing by ourselves, and she'll go out the room, and from then she'll just obviously record the session, and for each section she would knock on the door when the timer's up, and then we would then progress on to the next part of the assessment where we play with different toys. So the first one was we played with a certain selection of toys in box number 1, and you have to do a certain amount of things for each section, which would be play with certain toys in a certain way, and ask your child if they'll, say, feed the dog with the figurines or something like that. And which is fine, but there's quite a lot of information to read. You don't really get that long to read it all. So at that stage, we then progressed on to the next one, which was a doll's house, and it had different doors that you have to unlock with keys and that sort of thing, which he absolutely loved, and because that's his thing, and he loves all that kind of stuff. But then you have to ask questions about different bits of the house, and then you have to ask about the decorations on the house and different colours and this, that and the other. But it says on the sheet that you can only ask a maximum of 5 questions, which obviously they have a reason for that, but it's really quite difficult to remember not to ask any more questions, because when you're trying to get your child to learn and thrive on the different types of learning there are, when it's colours or looking out for different bits, it's difficult just to limit yourself to 5 questions. So I did find that kind of difficult. Moving on from that, you get about 2 minutes for them to play with this, and then they moved on to the next section, which was playing with some bubbles. Oakley's not very good at blowing bubbles anyway. He's not careful enough. He just blows in it and it just goes everywhere. And yeah, I mean, that was pretty simple. You just blow bubbles. I didn't know whether or not I was allowed to take my mask off or anything, but I did obviously for that. But I put it back on after the bubble blowing session. You get 2 minutes of playing with bubbles, then it moves on to toy box number 2, and in toy box number 2 there's a selection of different toys in there again, and this time it had some blocks with letters on and numbers, and then they had like a little family of figurines which weren't exactly bendy, they were just stationary, all stiff, you can't move them, with a load of things like wooden sofas and that sort of thing. So I assume to build like a little family play set, if that makes sense. And it asks you to, in this particular case for us, it asked us to play with the figurines and this, that and the other, and also to there was also a little plastic dump truck in there, and it asked to repair the dump truck using the tools in one of the bags. And yeah, that was fine, but when you're asking your child to do these things, it does specifically ask you to fix the dump truck with the tools. There's nothing really interactive there. It doesn't actually unscrew anything, doesn't actually do anything to the truck. It's just all pretend. So he immediately lost interest, and then I tried to keep him focused on that, and I played with him saying, look, I'm going to take off the wheel and this, that and the other, and he didn't really, that's not really his thing. If it does actually unscrew and you can take it apart, he would be all over it, but because it doesn't do the thing you're asking him to do with it, he just lost interest immediately, and went back to playing with the figurines and that sort of thing. And then once he discovered there was letters and numbers on these blocks, that was it. He was gone, just lining them all up and reading out everything from start to finish. So at the end of that session, they get that knock on the door again. Every time that happens, though, it immediately distracts him. He looks at the door thinking that there's someone waiting to come in. And then we go on to the next section, which was playing with the doll's house again. And at this point again, it says carry on playing with the doll's house, ask about the different decorations, this, that and the other. And you had a separate section of keys to unlock each door, and behind each door was a toy. And that's basically, I assume, how they work out what their, I assume, play style is. And I think that's what they're aiming for there. But it's from start to finish, it's fairly, I'm not going to say it's scary, because it isn't. It's just you have that anxiety and apprehension about you, because it's not a normal situation. And the only way I can explain it is that you're in a room on your own with your child, which is fine because that's probably what a lot of people do at home anyway. But when you're there, it's just a big empty room, and especially in the hospital that we went to, it's just a big empty room, and it just had a table, 2 children's chairs, one of which you sit on, one of which the child sits on, with a camera facing you, which obviously you're aware that it's going to be recorded because you're told anyway. And it's all very sort of like, you're almost kind of told that this is normal, and it's obviously not. It's not a normal situation to be in. It's really hard to be normal knowing that you're being recorded, and knowing that it's just a big empty room that you're not familiar with, that you're not used to, and especially for your child as well. But we had this meeting after we had the in-home, we had an in-home assessment as well, where he was assessed about his play styles and stuff at home, which was fine. I assume that went well. We don't really know until we get our report. But we were told that the next part of the whole assessment would be the debrief of everything that's been going on, and hopefully we'll get our decision then. But I've been told that it can take years for a decision. I've also been told that people have a decision within days afterwards. So it'll be interesting, and I will update the vlog based on what I've told you here. But basically, yeah, it's not a nice experience, and I know it's not meant to be. It's not like you're going on holiday. But the only way I can say to anyone going through it is just try and keep your mind open about it. Don't get too entangled in what's going on, in terms of what they say in the letters. Don't be scared of it, because at the end of the day it's for your child. But at the same time, I can entirely understand your anxiety and apprehension about the whole situation. But at the end of the day, you just got to think it's for your child and get it done. Just try and be as normal as possible. But I can tell you now, it's not easy. And if anyone thinks it is easy and can do it, then good for you, because it is really hard. So I'll leave it there, because I'm probably rambling now. But it wasn't great, but the situation is that you're hoping to find out if there is anything there, and obviously everyone would hope that there isn't, but, or I'd hope so anyway. But it's for your child, and you hope that they get the right support. Then that's what it's about, is your child getting the right support. So hope that's a bit clearer for you guys. I'll try and answer any questions if I do open up the comments. But I can't answer all of them, but I'll do what I can. Yeah, so hope your situation is a little better than mine, and I hope that you get the answers you're looking for if you're going through this yourself. And chin up, because it's difficult, but you'll get there. Alright, signing off now, guys. See you later.